The slap would sting, but it's wrong to begin with. He was mad. The slap would sting. What? Nonsense, dude. It's like the ravings of a madman.
Well, not only that, but he's like, the way he's phrasing it, it seems like he's trying to justify it, but he says it's wrong. He's like, the slap would sting, but it's wrong. Like, someone slapping you is right, but he's like saying, but it's wrong.
Jared Leto was so committed to playing a disabled character
that he broke his leg.
That he would use crutches and limp his way to the bathroom whenever he had to go. So production had to convince the actor to use a wheelchair to speed up the process. Come on, man. That's so... Yeah. Can you imagine that? Seeing someone fake limping around? Like, dude, come on. Be a professional. Like, that's so stupid. What's up?
I was not expecting that. I was about to do a test here, but... Okay.
Yeah.
So speaking of what's up...
What is up?
Yeah, what is up? You saved my ass. I had nothing to say.
Just another week.
Just another week. True. How are you doing?
Good. I'm excited to talk about this movie.
Yeah? And, well, okay. Yeah, so once again, you've saved me. So everybody, welcome to the Buddy Shots podcast. This is a 65th episode of a never-ending series. And this week we've got weird watches that you picked out, The Time Tunnel, and we've got a movie that one of our friends, a buddy, Kevin picked out, Yurimatsu. He picked out The Villainess. So we are going to be talking about that. And I can't wait, as you can see. Oh, we also have a special treat. We're going to be talking about Johnny Knoxville's Wrestlemania moment.
Cool.
So, I'm glad that you're all here. I'm like, Daddy, I'm dying.
Let's get into it.
Okay. So, do you want to start with nerd news?
Yeah, I have a couple this week.
I do too, actually. I don't know what I have to say besides that.
I don't think they're going to top the Michael Bay quote from last week.
I actually have something about Michael Bay. Do you have it as well? Okay, go ahead.
So, are you referring to he was asked about the Will Smith incident?
No, it's completely different.
Okay, so someone asked him about the Will Smith slap since he, directed Bad Boys and stuff.
Since he directed the slap. He was like...
No, that was Bayhem. And once again, like every quote of his is like a roller coaster.
I think he's just yeah.
So I'm going to just read... There's a little bit of back and forth, but I'm just going to read what he said.
Okay.
So they asked if he was watching.
If he sucked. Do you suck?
They asked if he was watching, and he said, I wasn't. I saw it. Everyone was texting me. Did you see it? Did you see it? Did you see it? First of all, it's wrong to begin with, okay? But that's all people are talking about, and I don't really care.
Okay.
Hollywood gets very self-absorbed. There are babies getting blown up in Ukraine right now. We should be talking about that. And then he goes on.
I was about to laugh, but as soon as she said that, I was like, that's not funny.
So I really don't care. He goes on. It wasn't right. I've worked with him before. He's not that guy. I've never seen him lose his cool like that. I thought it was a setup because I saw the smirk. I've been on set when Will screws with people, joking with people. Listen, it was a slap. It wasn't a punch. He's very good at fighting, all right? He's trained at that. The last little bit. The slap would sting, but it's wrong to begin with. He was mad. The slap would sting. What? Nonsense, dude. It's like the ravings of a madman.
Well, not only that, but he's like, the way he's phrasing it, it seems like he's trying to justify it, but he says it's wrong. He's like, the slap would sting, but it's wrong. Like, someone slapping you is right, but he's like saying, but it's wrong.
The slap would sting.
But it's wrong.
I really don't know what to say about it other than it's weird.
Yeah.
I hope he gets interviewed every week because he's hilarious.
Yeah, he needs... Here we go. So we've got something about it. Somebody asked him... this has become like the Michael Bay podcast now for whatever reason. So somebody, I guess, was saying like a possibility of him directing... Damn it, you're already laughing.
Sorry.
A superhero film. It's not that I'm not interested in Marvel, as Ridley Scott says. The most complicated thing for a director and the most fun thing for a director to do is to build the world. I'm not the guy to go into Lucas Star Wars and do Star Wars 5. That's not me. I'm not the one to come into Iron Man 7. I'm not the one to do Batman 10. I want to do my own thing. I would love to do a superhero thing, but I want to do it on my own terms and create my own world.
Like you did with Transformers.
Yeah. Speaking of coming in and directing like 50 of the same shit over and over again.
But he at least started it.
Fucking.
That's the Michael Bay difference.
Do you actually like Michael Bay? I guess let's go into that. I actually don't. I think he's a hack.
No, I think he's I mean, some of his movies are horrible.
Right.
But as a director of action, I think he's one of the best around. Like, his action is way better than anything in a Marvel movie or any, like, CGI nonsense. Because he does use a lot of practical effects.
Yeah. I think the only thing I've ever seen of his that was any good was the Bad Boys stuff.
The Rock. The Rock rules.
Actually, that movie was okay, yeah. What else you got?
I actually like the Transformers movies, believe it or not. Even though they're
the same
very
thing as
dumb.
Marvel movies.
Yeah.
That's okay. You can like what you like.
Yeah. I just think...
I've given you the opportunity to like what you like on this podcast.
His brand of action is, like, I still think it's spectacular to watch. And
that's fine. So. I just think, for my money, he's kind of like, I don't know, like somebody like, I don't know what his name is, but, like Michael Bay is kind of, in my opinion, not
he's like he's a human stereotype of, like,
right.
a director who's, like, all hopped up on, Lord knows what. But
So, what else do you have?
Okay. Another thing that cracked me up because I thought it was so stupid.
You're welcome.
So I'm actually going to talk about a Marvel movie for once, believe it or not.
Holy shit.
Not because I'm interested.
In a good way, or?
No.
Well, so that would be a first then.
There's this new movie, Morbius.
Oh, God. We're going to talk about that shit.
Starring Jared Leto.
Yeah.
And I know nothing about this movie, and I don't care, but this was funny because I guess in the movie, Morbius is like a disabled character or something. I'm not sure what all his disabilities are, but...
We could go into it. I know a bunch about the character, but we don't
Jared Leto was so committed to playing a disabled character...
that he broke his legs.
That he would use crutches and limp his way to the bathroom whenever he had to go. So production had to convince the actor to use a wheelchair to speed up the process. Come on, man! That's so... Yeah. Can you imagine that? Seeing someone fake limping around? Like, dude, come on. Be a professional. Yeah. Like, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
It just cracked me up, like, imagining that. Like, that's punchable behavior. Like, you should be punched.
So I have something that I kind of... this is a what-if scenario, so there's a scrap sequel to Star Trek Nemesis. Oh, you're like, "Blah!" You just fly away. Turn into a bird. But I guess...
the slap would sting.
God damn it. So Brent Spiner was talking about, I guess, like him and his friend that they wrote Nemesis because it was the data show essentially. But I guess one of the ideas that John Logan and I had that the next film would have been a Justice League of Star Wars or Star Trek, something that would bring all the great Star Trek villains together from Khan to Shinzon. And Picard is the only person who could stop them, and he has to go through time and pluck out the people he needs to help him. He goes back to the moment before Data blows up and takes him back to get Kirk and Spock, and go even further back to get Scott Bakula's character Archer. The problem with this, more than anything else, is cost. How do you pay for that? I think that, honestly, like, they did that in a comic with, like, Q.
That sounds like comic book shit, man. That sounds horrible.
It would have been way better than anything they did, like, Nemesis. Like,
that's
Nemesis shit. And so, I mean, honestly, the only one I liked was First Contact.
Yeah, I used to say that Insurrection was the worst, but I think Nemesis has aged even worse. Like, it's the bottom of the barrel, dude. It's so bad. They're both bad.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I would have rather seen, like, something like this than what we got with Nemesis or what we got with, like, Insurrection or,
Yeah.
I don't know. Even, like, the one with him and, like, they could have not done the one with him and Kirk, and it probably would have been way better because it was, like...
I kind of like that one, but
it was okay. It was just a lame attempt at a movie.
Yep, it was.
Just funny because the other ones, it's like, I complain about those because they're not enough like Star Trek, but the first movie's, like, too much like it. It's, like, to a fault where it's not even... It's like, it would probably be one of the worst episodes besides, like, any of the episodes with, like, Troy or Luxana or
Deanna
something.
Troy.
Yeah.
No.
What?
Luxana.
walks on off. Do you have any other news stories?
That's it.
I've got one final one, and this is specifically for you. So, on Cinema's Greg Turkington actually has a role, like a cameo, as his character from On Cinema in Shudder's Cursed films. Did you hear about this?
I saw a couple clips.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, like, he's obviously doing all this, like, joking stuff, and it's false information, but they have him as an actual expert. Like, he's the founder of the Victor Phil Film Archive and co-host of On Cinema at the Cinema, and he's like giving all this bullshit information.
Did you see any of the clips? Or
no.
So the one I saw, he was giving insider information
Mm-hmm.
about the Wizard of Oz, the Munchkin that hung himself, and he's like breaking down the film. He's like, there he is. You can see an actual Munchkin hang himself.
Yeah, because with Wizard of Oz, there's all this stuff that you hear about horrible things that happened on set, and like people weren't treated correctly. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You can look into it. We don't have
That
time
Munchkin
to really...
has been debunked. That
like that
hoax.
they were in the movie.
Yeah, they weren't real.
They were all fucking CGI.
They were all actually super tall people.
They were animated. Actually, the actors were all super tall, and those people were just normal people.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Oh, God.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so now that we've got this is the extended edition, Peter Jackson will be proud of our nerd news this week.
Cool.
Do you have a buddy tale?
Not this week.
The only buddy tale I kind of goes in line with our wrestling thing this week. You know, all it really is when we went and saw wrestling, and you were like chanting "Cena sucks."
I was getting into the spirit.
And that kid was like, he's not even going to be here tonight. And you were like, he still sucks. And the kid was like, you're right. And I was like, what?
Argument?
But it was so funny because, like, the kid's parents were, like, nowhere to be seen. It was like when we went to see... Here's another buddy tale involving one of our friends that nominated the movie tonight, Kevin. We went and saw Turtles, me, Trav, him, and you, the second one. And... we were sitting there in the theater, and right as the movie was about to begin, some dude comes over and just puts his kid on the last seat next to Kevin. You remember that? Mm-hmm. So Kevin sat next to some random dude's kid the whole movie. Kevin's always like, what the hell? So that's a buddy tale. Do you have any recommendations this week?
Not this week.
Okay. We will move on to... let's see here. I'll just do that because I don't have a thing for it, but... we're going to be talking about Johnny Knoxville's Wrestlemania match. But before we do this, we're going to do our...
Taste the golden spray?
We've got Steve-O's hot sauce for your butthole.
Where'd you get that?
Where'd
you find it?
I was watching a bunch of clips because I was kind of getting like pumped up to watch this match. Yeah, show it off and open it up, yeah. And Steve-O has like a podcast, and he was at the end of the clip. He's like, "Go on Amazon and you can get this hot sauce." And I was like, I think this might be like a cool thing to do for the podcast because it goes in correlation with the Jackass crew. So I'm hoping it's not too hot because we've got at least probably I'd say another hour of this or more. So if this is fucking super hot, and we have to get up and take a diarrhea, so hopefully that doesn't happen.
Trust me, it's not going to be an hour.
Because you're going to have a diarrhea.
No.
Matt says trust him. It's not going to be an hour because he's about to have. Okay, so what's it smell like?
Whew.
Does it smell
Habanero,
hot?
maybe?
Fuck.
Yeah, it smells hot.
So it says there's habanero,
Yeah.
naja something.
Smells pretty good.
I'm going to put just a little because I have issues with this. Oh, shit. Okay.
You don't have to eat it all.
Oh, yeah, true.
You're like down the
I
gullet.
got to eat the whole spoon, too.
Ah, nice flavor.
Nice music.
nice music.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really good.
For me, that's a little too hot.
It's pretty hot
to be enjoyable.
I love the habanero flavor. It's very
enjoyable,
distinctive.
So
Steve-O, you may be a jackass, but you can make some fine hot sauce.
I'm not a fan personally. Sadly, it's more to me. It's okay, but the problem is it's. I don't know. To me, it's not too. It's not super hot, but it's also like. It rides the line of like Tabasco, and to me, Tabasco is fine, but it's like you put it on something to make it hot, but the flavor is not really there. Like the heat is more of an issue. It's not as hot. I think I wasn't really ready for it, but it's not as bad now.
Good stuff.
It's not as bad as that one stuff I got that was like called Pain or whatever, and it was like I was like crying and shit. So I don't know.
I like it.
What would you give that? How many peppers would you give that out of 5?
I give it an 8.95.
You give it 8 peppers out of 5?
Yeah, because it was filled with that much pepper goodness.
We should have set this up beforehand. Matt fucked me. Or did he?
Well,
you'll decide.
To follow up to that,
you're like, I will not.
I did not watch this, so you'll have to tell me about it.
What?
Because I searched. Because first of all, I'm not going to pay for Peacock.
Oh, you don't have Peacock?
No. And then I searched for YouTube, and like after a couple tries, I thought I found one because I'm an idiot and said like full match.
Yeah.
And it was a guy playing a video game of where he created those two characters. I was like, all right, I'm out. So I do want to watch it though. So tell me, how was it?
Well, I guess I'll recount it to you since you didn't tell me you didn't watch it. So first of all, there was kind of a fuck up. This is a fuck up on my part because they split WrestleMania and they've been doing this I think for a couple years now. It's into 2 nights, and so it's like you got to watch it on Saturday and Sunday. So I started up, and I was trying to fast forward through all this crap, and at the beginning, this is literally what Michael Cole said. He said, "Welcome to the most spectacular, astounding, the most breathtaking, the most magical, the most stupendous live event in entertainment." And I said, "Fuck off." Then they brought out the Dallas Cowgirls, their cowboy cheerleaders, and it was like, who gives a fuck? I kept fast forwarding, and I was just like, dude, when the hell is this match gonna happen? So can you guess what the fuck happened? I started the Saturday night, and it was on Sunday.
Oh, no.
So I fast-forwarded through, probably 40 minutes of this thing to find out, because they had, a commercial for the match that was on Sunday on Saturday.
That's how they get you.
And I was like, okay, so then I just started that one. So we'll go ahead and start the thing here. So Sami Zayn came out first, and then they had an ad for DraftKings, which is a gambling site that UFC uses, and I guess now WWE uses. But with WWE, you don't have to pay any money, so it's more of a sweepstakes thing. So because obviously you can't bet on a fucking
I was gonna say if you're
thing.
Gambling on wrestling, that's a sad. You're in bad shape.
Well, it's not even you have a gambling addiction. You just have a reality addiction, or not a reality addiction, a reality issue. I have an addiction to reality. So it's more
still real to me.
So it's more like I said, a giveaway. But they're going on about DraftKings, and they put up this disclaimer that says, if you have a gambling problem, here's the number for it. And I'm like, this is kind of a conflict of interest here. But anyway. So Johnny Knoxville comes out dressed like the American hero from that old TV show. Sami Zayn took a fire extinguisher spray to the face.
Does he have weapons?
Oh, yeah, it was a street fight.
Cool.
There's a cookie sheet hit on Johnny Knoxville, and he said, "Cookie sheets really hurt. They don't give," as he hit him with the cookie sheet, and it's bent in half. So I was like, okay, dude, this commentary is bullshit. So I think I've seen Knoxville, he says, "I think I've seen Knoxville die 4 times on television." I just was like, what? There was a table full of mouse traps, and Sami Zayn says, "Did you do this, Johnny? You're crazy for this one, Johnny." I was like, what? The safest hit with a stop sign I've ever seen by anyone ever. Johnny Knoxville does it to the other guy, and he's like,
so he was pulling his punches as hard as he could.
To a degree, but it was not the case with the other way around, because I'm sure he was like, dude, just knock me around.
Yeah.
So Party Boy showed up.
Hell yeah.
And he ripped his clothes off and was dancing around.
In the ring?
Yes. And it said he said one of the announcers says, riding the pony, slapping his ass, feeling himself. I said, I'm like, none of that actually happened. He was just dancing. He wasn't like slapping his ass or feeling himself. Wee Man came out. They said he was stalking Sami Zayn. He picked up Sami Zayn and actually body slammed him.
Wee Man did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like Andre the Giant style.
That's awesome.
I was like, holy fuck. That was probably the best part of the match. There was a tornado DDT by Knoxville. It was pretty legit. Sami Zayn got his balls demolished by a boot and a bowling ball. A giant hand slapped Sami Zayn.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was actually a really good match. Sami Zayn went off the top rope onto a table with mousetraps on it.
Wow.
People were screaming, holy shit. Or not screaming it, they were like yelling it.
They became addicted to reality.
I'm like, 9 to 5. Jesus, a giant mousetrap. Yeah, they had a giant mousetrap that when it finally got activated didn't really work like it should have. Somebody said, kill him, Johnny. I'm like, Jesus. Sami Zayn got pinned down by a giant mousetrap.
That's hilarious.
Where the hell is Steve-O? He wasn't there, sadly.
He got COVID again?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking the coolest thing is Wee Man's body slamming Sami Zayn. And I was thinking Tim needed that giant mousetrap to trap Rosetta the Rat.
Who won the match?
Oh, shit. I didn't write it down because... Sorry. I thought that you watched it. My bad. Johnny Knoxville won.
Nice.
It pinned him down, and then he, like, jumped on the giant mousetrap, and, like, the ref counted it. I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was actually a really good match. Like, Johnny Knoxville went through a table in the first, like, couple minutes of the match, and it was, like... flipped him upside down and threw him into it, and he, like, crumpled into a fucking heap. I was like, Jesus! But it was, like, legit. Like, everybody was like, holy fuck. It was pretty good. Pretty surprising.
Yeah, that's great.
Not too surprising. Like, I wouldn't be too surprised because, like, obviously they're not trained wrestlers, but, like, they take punishment, and I think they've kind of learned how to take, like, what to do and what not to do. So,
yeah, I think it was
pretty good.
Like, some of the most intense stuff I've seen is when he does football stuff, or he'll, like, try to return a punt and get annihilated, or, like, get sacked. It's like, by, like, the biggest NFL players in the world.
Dude, this water is wet. You're welcome. Yeah.
The slap would sting.
What's that other part that he says? He's like, after that, he's like, the slap would sting or something.
But it wasn't okay.
Yeah. And
he was mad.
Yeah, he was mad. He was mad. I'm like, no, he was happy as fuck, and he slapped somebody in the face. I do that to Matt every time I come to his house. I'm like, man, I'm so glad to see my friend. I'm gonna just fucking slap him in the face. And Matt's like,
sucker punch.
Yeah, and you never catch him. So, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Weird Watches this week presents, brought to you by Snickers, the Time Tunnel, brought to you by Nathaniel.
Keep Snickers' name out your mouth.
What'd he say? He's like, I plan to.
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
I will.
I'll do it. Let's do it. We'll do it. So, The Time Tunnel is an American color science fiction TV series. Written around a theme of time travel adventure and starring James Darren and Robert Colbert. The show was creator-producer Irwin Allen's third science fiction television series released by 20th Century Fox Television and broadcast on ABC. The show ran for one season of 30 episodes from 1966 to 1967. A pilot for a new series was actually produced in 2002, but did not proceed to a series. The history of the series by Martin Grams Jr. was published in 2012. I probably didn't have to read that, but I did. You get that extra little bit of trivia. So yeah, this was a classic old sci-fi, Lost in Space territory kind of stuff.
What'd you think?
I thought it wasn't bad. I was definitely like I definitely liked the beginning part the most.
I think so too.
And that's only because once they got into like the part where like the dude goes back in time to the Titanic, it kind of became more of a period piece and less of like a fantastical thing. And I really liked the effects in this because there was like a lot of like stuff being used, like paintings or whatever it was, and like they did stuff where like people were walking on things when it was like it had to been put in manually and stuff. It was pretty interesting. I mean, it didn't look like, I wasn't like, man, I know that's real, but it was cool, but it wasn't super fantastical.
Yeah. I thought the lab was a little bit on the extreme side. They were like,
it was definitely
it's 800 stories deep. I'm like, 800? Holy crap! Like, there must be billions of people living in this
free
complex.
fall for 800 floors. I was like, when they stand on these like little Star Trek pedestals to be like beamed down or something, but he's like, hang on, professor, it'll only be like, or senator, it'll be like 30 seconds, and he's like, and the other guy's just like, fuck it. And I'm like, so is this something that like you could fall off of, or like so the intro song was kind of weird. It was just a bunch of like clanging for certain parts. It was like and I was like, and then some of it was music, so I think that was just kind of like, hey, this is weird, so here's some weird sounds. The miniature set with people walking, the effects were pretty legit.
Yeah, I like that stuff.
But somebody, I think he said, is time travel really worth all this? Like the senator, because of the money? Which is funny because that's brought up in like other shows I've seen too about like projects where like, you know what I mean? They're like, is it really worth the cost of money? For this, for the idea of time travel, I'd say yes, but there's kind of a hitch with this show. When they arrive, they've been working on this like 11 years, and they have jack fuck to show for it. They don't even know.
They built an 800-story deep complex, dude.
And like nothing, they have nothing to show for it.
No results.
Yeah. Essentially, they don't even know.
You need the infrastructure in place.
They don't even know if it works.
They need the infrastructure in place first. I just thought it was funny because the lab was so extreme, like it would not have been possible to build with like all of the resources in the world at that time. And then they're like, we're just going to shut it down. It's like you invested so much in it to like stop after 1 hour of this dude showing up.
Well, it was like 11 years of them trying to get this thing to work, and they had like literally nothing to show for it, in my opinion. It was like the guy shows up and the guy's like, okay, well, you know, we're thinking about maybe shutting this place down because it costs a fuck ton of money to run this place. So, you know, what do we have going on here? Like, how many people have you sent back? And they're like, oh, we've just sent back like animals and monkeys, but they're like, well, how do you know that they don't just evaporate? And he's like, well, we don't really know that they go back in time. There's really no fucking evidence other than this techno jargon that I'm going to tell you. But like, literally, it's like, there's no proof, you know what I mean? Until, you know, the two dudes get sent back in time and it becomes like sliders where like each, you know, they don't know how to get it back yet, because that's the thing is when you get sent back in time, as of them, the guy showing up, the senator, there's no return trip. It's like you're just jumping from time to time. Which I thought
you happen to only jump into natural or man-made disasters.
Yeah. So one of the guys says, I'm not going to send somebody through there to commit suicide. That's not even science. I'm like, well, then what the fuck you been doing for 10 years? It's like they've been sending like apes to their death, apparently. Or there's just a bunch of apes in the past randomly places.
They sent apes into space before humans.
That's true, but at least there was evidence they went to space. It wasn't they just didn't send them through a void and been like, well, our best guess that this ape is in the past. Like, actually, that would be the last thing I would have thought. Well, I guess it's just not in the past. It's like they say that they could be forward or backwards, like, in time anywhere. And I was like, you don't even, like, until this dude jumps through and does this thing where he, like, makes like a signature so that like they know they can track him. Like they literally are like, oh, he could be anywhere, like millions or billions of years forward or backward in time. But with this, you know, this thing that we can track him, well, we've narrowed it down to like what, like 100 years or something they said. And I was like, yeah. So they were going through a time in a like it's like this. When you go through time in this show, it's like a bunch of diamonds are sparkled in front of the camera.
Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
And then the dude's like, what?
Yeah, and when they land, it's like the safest, slowest landing. They're like... And this dude lands on the Titanic, and this lady's like, where the fuck did you come from? Because he literally just, like, falls out. And it's like it takes forever for them to, like, kind of reveal... Not forever, but it takes a while for them to reveal it's the Titanic. And he walks by the thing, and he's like, I'm on the Titanic!
Well, not only that, they keep revealing it. Like,
yeah.
Someone says he's on the Titanic, and then a few minutes later, like, he walks by the thing, and it's like, Titanic. Dun, dun, dun! Yeah. We already knew that, dude.
Yeah.
Like, they keep reminding us.
Yeah. Not only that, but as soon as he landed on the boat, I was like, I knew this was going to be the Titanic.
Yeah.
But also, one of the things that was a little questionable for the scientists is the first thing they do is they don't try to, like, just keep to themselves. Like the first dude that goes on doesn't try to keep to himself and just try to, like, find a way back. He instantly tries to start changing history and telling the captain, hey, I'm from the future, and this is the Titanic, and it's going to fucking crash. And so the guy's like, okay, we'll lock this guy up. He's insane. And so what happens when the second guy goes to save him? He does the same fucking thing. I thought he was just going to try to, like, sneak him out, but instead he's just like, we got to convince this dude, the captain, to, like, change course and save all these people. And they...
And their own asses.
Yeah, and they fail miserably. And in the process... Like, they contact people, and they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, there's, like, 50 ships that could come and rescue us. And he's like... The captain's like, oh, we don't need that because, like, you know, these guys are insane. So apparently in the vicinity there were, like, 50 ships. But they were like, nah.
What do you think of the main dudes in this?
I thought they were cool. I think this was maybe kind of not a super strong episode. At least maybe at the time it was. Maybe Titanic Fever was running wild in 1960. But
well, that's the thing. Like, this is a fantastic premise for a show.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at some of the other episodes, and they're all, like, equally dull. Like, they go back in time to Custer's last stand, and it's like, dude, you have all of history and future history to work with, and the most interesting thing you can think of is fucking Custer's last stand. Like, come on.
Custer's Revenge.
Now that I'd like to see.
AVGN style.
But I thought the dudes, they were okay, kind of bland.
I mean, I think it was typical science fiction protagonists in that day and age. Mm-hmm. They were just like upstanding scientists, and even though, like I said, they just like went out of their way to fucking try to change history as quickly and as often as possible.
That cracked me up.
And I was like,
it's like, you gotta help me! I don't want to drown on the Titanic.
Yeah. So he goes back in time with a paper and says Titanic sinks, and it's like all it does is get him locked up with, or I was like, all that's gonna do is get him locked up with the other guy. Why did he just go in and stealth him out? He saved a thief boy that really didn't have any, like, all he did was fuck with a hose to distract a dude. I thought it was like, oh, that's gonna be like a famous person, and then he's gonna be saved, but no, that had no correlation. Grabs the guard and instantly he grabs the dude from behind, and the dude instantly like knocks the fuck out, which I thought was hilarious.
That's also typical like fight choreography of the time, like Star Trek style.
It's like you're like so I actually found this fact. I guess the Titanic received 6 ice warnings before the collision, so it makes almost even less sense that. I guess they maybe at the time they didn't know this information when making the show, or didn't research it too far. But obviously, like, if that was the case, this captain probably would have been like, as soon as the guy was like, hey, I'm from. Well, the thing is, if somebody comes to you and they say they're from the future, you're instantly going to be like, dude, fuck off. Like, you're going to think they're. I don't know if you think they're crazy, but you think they're probably fucking with you. Like, where's the camera? Obviously, back then that wasn't the case, but I wouldn't disbelieve somebody because they said something. I was going to say maybe he would take it more seriously, but I would have been like, I wouldn't say I'm from the future. I would have been like, hey, my brother just gave me some information over, like, whatever the hell, like, Morse code or whatever the hell it is, like a wire, and he said that, like, you know, there's a bunch of ice ahead or something, and I'm a scientist and all this crap. Instead of just instantly being like, hey, I'm going to tell you the most fantastical thing I can think of. To me, it's no big deal, but fucking, you know, certain things haven't even been invented in the real 1960s here, so what the hell? Yeah. Also, I thought it was funny that, like, the captain was like, you will know, either I die, and he's like, yes, sir, you will. And he's like, I'm like, if he knows he's, like, not gonna die, I guess, or that he's gonna die, I guess he just doesn't give a shit and just decides to go down with the ship anyway. Also, in one of the scenes, like, when they were coming upstairs, I don't know if it was a flub or what, but a random dude just jumped off the boat.
Yeah, I saw that. He was like, yeah!
No, it's like,
that cracked me up.
What?
That'd be me on the real Titanic. I'm just like, see.
You're like, Titanic. There was,
you know, we have lifeboats, right? He's like, suicide for me.
Yeah. Which that would be like the worst way. There was kind of a horrifying part of this though, because they pan across the ship and you see people breaking out windows and screaming, and they're like fucked, like they can't get out. And I'm like, but the rest of it really wasn't, you know. I mean, obviously after the Titanic movie with like Leonardo DiCaprio, where it's a lot more obviously grounded to a degree. Like you see horrifying things in that, but
if only they could have grounded the ship.
Ah,
that was their problem.
True.
No ground.
No ground
Just
in
water.
the ocean. Doug and Tony get sent to another time, so they will live. Next week, see this fantastic adventure in the time tunnel. They get sent to, like, the next episode is they're inside of a, what is it?
It's Mars rocket.
It's a rocket that, like, never would exist. It was like...
It's a rocket that has a basement in it.
Like, they have enough, like, it's like, this is, like, the kind of stuff, obviously, that's, like, super fantastical, but it's, I don't know. I can't really explain it. It's just like that 1960s kind of stuff where it's like, I will have to say, like, I can see where shows like Sliders and Quantum Leap got the format from of this, because it's like legit the original. I don't know if it's the original, but it's kind of like one of the originators of the whole, like, you know, hey, next time there's going to be some bullshit going down, and, you know, same shit, different week.
Yeah. It was a great idea for a show. I'll probably watch a couple more episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was like a fun thing. I wasn't like "Ugh!" like hating it or anything, but it was definitely like, I don't know if I want to say this, but it's kind of like My Mother the Car, where it's got like that kind of like, this is maybe an interesting idea, but it's executed horribly. I don't know if I would say that, because this wasn't executed horribly. It was just kind of like, I think because it was one of the first ones, it was very, like, formulaic. Yeah. I think maybe that's what I should say. My mother's a car. I'm like, she helps me in everything I do. It's like, by fucking up your life. So do you have anything else to say about this? How'd you hear about this, by the way, before we...
my dad got the DVD when it came out.
Nice.
He's like, oh, I remember the show Time Tunnel.
Did he watch all of them, like, back in the day? Or?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I knew he was familiar with it. I knew he was, like, super pumped to get the DVD, and I just never watched them.
Right,
but
yeah.
I've had them all this time, like, hey, check them out. Good excuse to participate in a weird watch.
It's kind of funny, because this is, like, in color, and usually these older kind of shows with this format are, like, black and white. So this was interesting. I think that's why in the Wikipedia it listed as a color, where, you know...
That was like a bonus.
Yeah. Give me a freaking bonus, mini-me. Yeah. So, I think I would watch more of these episodes consistently if, like, I didn't have other... You know, if I wasn't watching other things. But it's not something that I'm going to, like, avoid if, like, it's... You know, if I see it again, I'll probably watch another episode. It's just like you said, it's like... Some of the shit's lame. It's like...
Yeah, like
Custer, like, okay, dude, like
ancient Rome.
Yeah.
It's like all this stereotypical,
right.
like what they could film on the back lot.
Exactly, yeah. Cowboys and Indians,
right.
Like, okay, dude, piss off. But you have anything else?
Nope.
You're like, I will never speak again.
And I'll be leaving for the rest of this episode, so you can finish it out on your own.
Because you're about to go shit your pants. Okay. So, this is the feature presentation for this week. We were talking about The Villainess. This is a 2017 South Korean action film directed by... I always have to apologize because I'm probably going to fuck this up, but for any of our viewers that have these specific names, I'm sorry. Jung Byung-gil. I'm not laughing because of that. Starring Kim...
If you have that specific name, and you are the director of The Villainess, then we apologize.
Yeah, starring Kim Ok-vin. The film had its world premiere at the 70th Cannes Film Festival in 2017. According to the writer and director, the movie was inspired by the European film Femme Nikita from 90s.
Yeah, duh. It's the exact same movie.
Which I've never seen before. Which he had seen at the age of 10 years old. A female assassin leads a trail of bodies behind her as she seeks revenge. Okay, so you keep shaking.
What did you think?
I didn't think You know what's funny? I guess before we get any further in this, I felt this film. I mean, it says action. But I felt that this film was just as much like a Korean drama. You know what I mean? Did you feel that as well? Because there were definitely scenes where there was nothing even... I mean, not that obviously if a movie's not action from beginning to end, but it definitely had that feel to it.
For sure.
So I guess I'll say I've never seen... I don't watch Korean dramas, so I guess this was kind of a first for me.
You watched The Host?
Well,
it's
I mean,
a Korean drama.
Dude,
it has some of the most dramatic scenes.
But it's not like this. This is like dramas in like I feel like soap opera. That was like
melodrama.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking like that kind of stuff. Where like, yeah, I don't know. That was definitely. I mean, obviously every movie has drama in it for the most part, but yeah. So I guess I'll reverse. Oh no, you. What did you think?
Kevin, you've made some really good picks in the past. I really like The Wailing. But,
and he's not talking about
this movie. Pissed me off, man. I really did not enjoy it for many reasons.
And we're about to get into those reasons. So like, follow, and subscribe for more pitching. I have a stupid note here that says, first off, I'm shocked there are killings in this film. I don't know why I wrote that. I think it was supposed to be as a joke. So
The killings.
Once again, what do you think I did that I fucked up?
Subtitles?
Yeah, I fucked up again. I started it and I thought that I turned them on. And guess what? I didn't. And I was
These
like,
people are speaking a nonsense language.
When the fuck is this ever going to have like the subtitles? And so I had to go to the thing and turn them on like a dumbass again. Yeah, so I have a question for you. What did you think of the first-person action scene since you were like a fan of the first-person stuff in Universal Soldier?
I thought it was somewhat cool.
Mm-hmm.
There was...
I liked it up to a point, I'll say that.
Yeah, it was cool that there were some practical squibs. Mm-hmm. Although I would say it's probably 75% CGI and 25% practical from what I could tell, but at least there was something.
I think you have a better eye for that stuff than I do. I think there were definitely times when I could tell, and there's like certain scenes in this that I don't know if maybe it was. I don't think it was my TV because I just got kind of a newer one, but like there were like these in the bus scene, especially. It seemed like there were like when they went in front of windows, it seemed like there were these white outlines. Maybe, or it was very small.
It was really sloppy execution. Like the first-person scenes, like they looked horrible because it's supposed to be like one long take, but the camera's always like shaking around and like you can tell they're cutting all the time to like blend it.
I think we should probably talk about that first. I mean, we don't have to talk about it first, but that's really my only big complaint about this. But it's a big issue because
the editing.
Well, the camera work.
Yeah,
it's fairly jarring when you're watching an action scene, and obviously cuts can't, obviously are a thing, but when you're when you're going from all kinds of different action shots, and then there's also, it's not just like shooting something here and here, but there's also like you move the camera kind of like right next to somebody, so you're seeing it from the point of view of really close to both of them. It'd be like if literally all you could see of me and Matt was like we're like fighting, and like literally you just saw like right here. Like I don't know, I can't really explain it unless you saw it.
It's sloppy as hell. It's the sloppiest damn movie I've ever seen.
That's a sloppy damn movie. Stop the damn match.
Stop the movie! It's too sloppy.
By God, there are people in this movie. It's like no shit. Yeah,
I thought it looked like shit.
I don't know.
Like they were going. This movie to me is an experiment. Like they wanted to make it like an assault of crazy editing.
It's an assault.
But it doesn't work at all, and it like totally ruined the movie for me because one, I couldn't see or tell what was happening, and it was like made me want to throw up, and it pissed me off because like I wanted, like I love action movies like this. I wanted to get into it, but like I couldn't because the editing was so bad, and the camera work was so terrible.
Yeah,
and also the way that this movie's edited, it's like. You have a scene, then you go into a flashback, then there's a flash forward, and like you're constantly changing timelines, and it can't take a break for like 2 minutes to have an actual scene. Which
I think the only stuff that they had in this that were like you were saying, like scenes that were kind of was like any of the stuff where they were in the apartment and she was just like with the dude that was her.
Yeah, like you have a tender love scene, but then like 30 seconds later, a woman's getting her throat slit, and it's like, dude, this is so jarring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, that first like the.
I did like in the first scene though, like
the first
she's killing everyone in like a lab or whatever, and she took the time to like execute the scientist, like Dr. Doak style. I was like, what is this? Me playing Goldeneye?
Yeah, I liked the first person stuff up to a point. I think the issue I had was when like it just kept going, and I was like, okay, this is a little out of control. When they switched to like third person, it was like one of the only scenes in the film that was kind of filmed just wide enough to see a lot of the action, like in the gym where she's like fighting all those guys, and then she like jumps out the window. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool because it was kind of like when we were watching Universal Soldier and it switched from like first to the third person. I was like, okay, cool. Now we're to the rest of the film that like I was a bigger fan of, but they just kind of were like all over the place with some of the. It's funny because like a lot of like the stuff that was in action was like filmed perfectly fine, but then when they went into the action, it was like they had to like put all the footage they filmed really close to people in with the scenes of like just the actual action. So it was like you get like shot, reverse shot into like super close into like swinging around, and it's like I sent you that text where I was like, dude, I got 10 minutes left of this movie and I'm gonna be sick.
Yeah, I felt the same way, and I sent you the clip of that.
When I got
edited scene I've ever seen in my life.
When I got to that, I was like, what the fuck?
I did the math. So that's a 7-second clip.
Yeah.
And I had to like
frame
scroll through it because
it
was the edits were happening so fast I lost, like, you can't count that fast. There were 24 shots in 7 seconds.
Well, when we make our Buddy Shots movie, we'll have to beat that. We just strobe the fuck out of the audience.
Reminded me of the clip of Liam Neeson jumping over the fence.
Yeah.
Where they have to like edit it because he's way too old to like hide the stunt double. But like the whole movie was like that.
Right. To me, it's like edits. I don't know. That's the thing is like I edit a bunch, so like it was more so like kind of annoying because it was like I don't think there was a need for any of this. Not because like the people involved couldn't do it, but because like it was hiding what was like perfectly fine and actually really awesome action.
Yeah.
Which was kind of like the whole reason you watch this fucking film is for action. Like, I'm not watching this for the plot because the problem is they like play it twice. Mm-hmm. She like thinks this one dude's dead and kills people, and then he's not dead, and then it's like she gets fucked over like twice. Well, actually, like more than twice in this film, and then she goes insane at the end, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess they have, like, in this film, it was like, after she kills these people and she's like an assassin, they, like, this other corporation, like, takes her and, like, drugs her and, like, makes her into, like, a badass.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's also spliced in with footage from when she was training when she was younger. And it's like, is this during this training?
Right,
or...
you can't tell. It's, like, incomprehensible.
Yeah. But then they do, like, plastic surgery on her, and, like, she's different, I guess. But I couldn't tell if that was a different person or they just did her hair.
Yeah. To, like, even make it more confusing and nonsensical. But then there's also scenes where there's, like, it's like a surreal, almost, like, play is happening.
Yeah, because like,
was...
her thing is she becomes, like, an actress.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, the whole thing is this, they're trying to find out, like, they take in assassins or, like, women that, like, have been fucked over in their life, and they're like, we're going to put you out into the world, you're going to be like a sleeper agent, and when we tell you, you need to go commit a fucking assassination. But in the meantime, you need to actually have, like, a real life and actually have a skill. So, you know, she was horrible at everything else, but apparently she was pretty good at acting. So, like, she becomes an actress, and she's on stage, but like you said, there's a thing where, like, it keeps mirroring, like, yeah.
I thought it was just kind of pretentious, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I didn't really think about that, but I think we've seen so many movies that, like, it really depends on your point of view. Like, certain movies that, like, I think that you like or I like, somebody else would think is pretentious, or vice versa. So, I didn't see that.
All movies are pretentious by definition.
They're bullshit! Dude, fuck movies. Let's do a podcast about Pez or something.
Sounds delicious.
But not nutritious.
Speaking of the first person, did you ever see that movie Hardcore Henry that was, like, total 100% first person?
I remember hearing about it, and I was kind of like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't want to bring up, like, Universal Soldier, but you know my whole thing about, like, when I was talking about how I think a lot of that's, like, a gimmick unless it's, like, and that's just my opinion. I didn't see it because of that reason. It looked interesting, but I was also, it was one of those things where they did, like, the Kickstarter for it, and it took so long that I also kind of forgot about it. I mean, did you like it or something?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a lot more, like, followable than this movie. Like, It doesn't have the crazy...
Well, it's all in first person, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this one isn't.
Right. But there's some cool action and stunts in it.
In this or that?
No, in Hardcore
Henry. Okay. Let's see here. We talked about the college. She says, "Kill me" at one point, and then you find out she's pregnant. She's like, "We know you're pregnant. You're welcome." So she's, like, living for her unborn child.
Mm-hmm.
I did have something that was kind of weird because they said, you know, we're going to keep you here for 10 years. And when she gets out, her child, there's no way in hell her child can be, like, 9 years old.
No way in hell.
I mean, she might have been, but I don't know. I'm pretty bad at judge of character with, like, kids. Cause
I didn't really think about that.
I'm not around kids a lot, so. So they show her going through and failing a bunch of different things, and she's acting, and then her little water breaks on stage. I was like, she peed herself. So
talk about bad timing.
Speaking of which, what'd you think about this? Her baby had a birthday, and it didn't even say meh.
All right, so that leads
your
me
stomach's
to,
like
that leads me to something I want to get off my chest.
Ooh.
So I guess I'm ignorant, and I didn't realize that, like, the Happy Birthday song was not just in English. Like, that same song is used in other languages and cultures. Yeah. But so hate is a strong word, and there's very few things that I hate. But I hate the Happy Birthday song, and I wish it would be changed forever. It is the worst song ever. Like, birthdays are supposed to be celebrations. They're like,
I would have to say it's definitely not the worst song ever.
Happy birthday,
especially if you sing it like that.
That's how everyone sings it. I've never heard it sung well because it can't be done. It's horrible.
Sweet Caroline is the worst song.
You're
like, fuck!
But like,
no, I agree with
changed.
you.
Like Stevie Wonder did a great Happy Birthday song about Martin Luther King. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday. And the Beatles did a great Happy Birthday song. Like either one of those should be the new official Happy Birthday song.
I'm sure the licenses definitely won't be an issue.
The Happy Birthday song is not public domain. It's licensed by the two women that wrote it, who I hope they're long dead. But,
So Matt's just finding any reason to hate on the Happy Birthday song, apparently. So don't...
I've always hated it.
Make sure you sing it to him.
I've refused to sing it because I don't believe in it.
I was like this close from saying you're weird, but...
This is a hill that I will die on.
Well, what do you want on your tombstone?
Pepperoni.
That's it. No cheese. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really thought about the Happy Birthday song. I don't really have people sing it to me. That's the thing. Like, I don't know. Maybe you've just had a lot of people sing you Happy Birthday throughout your life and you hate it.
I mean, I've attended many birthday parties and I've always hated the song and it sucks every time. And
I think I've been to maybe 2 birthday parties where people sing Happy Birthday. By the time I think I went to them, we were so old, people weren't singing Happy Birthday anymore. That's kind of like a kid thing to do. I mean, older people maybe do it. I don't know. Maybe like when we went to our friend Ben's house, everybody sang it to him. But I do agree. I was never like one to like sing it. Like, and I don't really know when it's somebody's birthday. Like, I'm not singing Happy Birthday to like my parents or anything. I do agree. Like, yeah, I don't really have anything. Like, I don't hate it, but I also don't. It's kind of like one of those songs that's just like so well known that it's like, why the fuck would you want to ever sing this? So, this is the Happy Birthday podcast. The Sappy Birthday.
Just change it to the Beatles version. Call it a day.
There you have it. Matt's a Beatles fan. So what'd you think about the scene where like they have 2 guns disassembled and the first one to assemble the gun like gets to like live and kills the other person? Have you seen this in another film before?
Mm-mm. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty legit.
Because the dude's like, oh crap!
Yeah, I thought it was really cool actually. It was. There's definitely like a lot of things about this film that I thought were cool. Like there were scenes and like ideas.
Well, dude,
but it's just kind of like marred under other stuff that we're kind of complaining about.
There's a scene in this movie where a bunch of people sword fight on motorcycles. Like, I can never hate a movie that has that in it. Like, that's cool.
You know what I thought of when I saw that was like when they did all that shit in the Matrix where like dudes are jumping on cars and crap. Mm-hmm. Even though they have nothing similar. But the only thing I was thinking, the reason why I thought of that is that's kind of one of the things I think of when I think of like chases on vehicles. In like a big movie where people are going throughout stuff. I mean, obviously there's a ton of other ones, but like the reason why I thought of that one is because like in that film, as much as it was like not as good as the first one, like you could like see what was going on, and the whole time it was like,
and some of it was real stunts.
Yeah, but it was like kind of the issue in this. Yeah, like we were saying, this like the camera work. I think that's it is definitely a problem. Like if they had just not
ruined the
done
movie
the bullshit, yeah.
But on top of that, like I didn't care about any of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've seen La Femme Nikita before. This is the exact same movie. Like, there's nothing new in this movie. Like I was not interested at all. And not only that, but there's a lot of there's some mean-spirited stuff and like horrific. Like a baby gets blown up in this movie. I'm like, cool. That's always fun to watch. Like a girl watches her dad's head get crushed.
I was actually kind of surprised that they killed the kid. Because a lot of movies won't do that. Or, well, not won't, but they don't. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It just
wasn't fun.
I won't say it doesn't bother me, but I'll also say it wasn't something that like was a breaker for me. It was just kind of like interesting that they put that in the film. Yeah. But like maybe I'm more cynical. Like for me, it's like when that shit happens, I'm like. But you don't see a lot of movies where kids are killed, but at the same time, when the kid was killed, it wasn't really like, you know, she didn't get like Napoleon blown apart or anything. It was like fucking, you know, there was an explosion, but like she had like ketchup on her and she was just like didn't wake up or something. So it wasn't like when she found her lover's body and his fucking face was like prune faced in. I was like, what the fuck?
Like hamburger meat.
That was...
It turned into slug meat.
That was, that was pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Which I was like, man, it's weird because in this film, it's definitely like stuff happens that is like brutally gory, but then there's stuff that happens that like isn't, that you would think would be. Like somebody gets shot and it's super clean, and then like somebody's fucking hand gets cut off, and it's like, what the fuck? Like with an axe. So it's all kind of all over the place. Yep. I have this. The first assassination mission is jarring and a little hard to watch. Well, I wouldn't say a little. Due to constant cutting into separate shots, this is the first time it's been an issue in this film for me. I think that's one of my main complaints. I can't wait to talk about that. Bike scene is really legit, but also suffers from all over camera. Guy gets hit off a bike and gets run over. That was another thing that was weird. They have all this graphic violence, but like when he's about to be run over, they like cut away, which I was like. Not that I was like, I want to see a guy get fucking murdered on camera, like run over. But like in a movie like this, you think they would have shown it, but it was like they cut away, which I was like, was that a choice of trying to be like, we won't show it, but you know what happened. But it's like,
don't do it.
Ramps off police car. Good Lord, I can't say ramp apparently. This line, so they go to a flashback and it says, I heard recently you scored a big one, bitch. If that was true, I wouldn't be in this hell. I'm like, Jesus. This character... So, like, I don't know if maybe, like, did you come to this conclusion, too? Like, so, like, she sees her dad be killed. And then she's taken in by, like, the guy that was there with the people that, like, killed him. And... he, like, takes her in, I guess, to kind of shut her up, but also maybe he's, like, having sex with her, and she's, like, young, because there's a part where she's on the bed, you know, and then a dude comes in completely naked and, like, I guess is about to sexually assault her, but, like, she's saved by the dude she falls in love with and marries that turns on her in the end. But, like, because he, like, kills him. So it's like, was this like a hit, or was this guy just like Batmaning outside the window?
Yeah.
But anyway, like I guess that was the question was, is that what you thought too?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just like, wow, a little bit more unpleasantness.
But the weird thing about it, like, well, the whole thing's weird. I'm like, there's only one weird thing about having sex with children. The weird thing about it was that like it was just kind of like not like I wanted him to go into depth, but it was kind of a nonchalant like you said, it was just kind of mean-spirited. It was just added on. Like, by the way, this person's not only been fucked over by many people in her life, and she's been trained to be a killer, but
how can we make it even more
she saw
extreme?
her dad was killed, and, like, horribly, and he was disfigured in front of her after he died. Like, she's also been the, you know, victim of sexual abuse, and I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. So the field agent, he, like we said, he moves in next door to her, and she asks for like a background check. Some of the, like, honestly, I think some of my favorite stuff was like them interacting and like the guy being really kind of like
because it was an actual scene from a movie
right.
that you can follow,
and like he was like, she's like, I think I'm her. He's like, I think I'm really like getting into her, you know, and she likes me and stuff. And she's like, the boss is like, she like already asked for a background check on you. You fucked up. And he's like, yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, like scenes like he waits with an umbrella for her, and then you find out like, you know, he's supposed to like trick her and like get married to her, you know, to kind of get closer to her and keep an eye on her. But like he actually ends up falling in love with her. And then she ends up falling in love with him, and they actually get married. But then at the end, he gets reamed anyway. He gets like killed, and the daughter dies too. And it's like,
they killed him anyway.
There's a scene where the dude's wearing Mario gloves at his wedding, which I thought was pretty funny.
I missed that.
I think it was either, I can't remember if it was the first or the second. I think it was the first guy she married. She gets married to the guy that saved her and trained her. I'm assuming. And he goes after to save someone that was kidnapped, and they kill the shit out of him, and his face is unrecognizable. The pit face. The problem is, like, that makes sense why she's, like, emotionally distant in this film, but, like, by the end of the film, it's like things are so... It's like watching that episode of Seinfeld where they play it in reverse.
It's yeah,
But
it's like they took a movie, they chopped it up into
Yeah.
like 100 pieces and just randomly threw it together, and it doesn't work at all. Like, it's just sloppy storytelling.
Sloppy. I know you kids like I'm sloppy.
Lady, you're scaring us.
So then they had the reverse where she's waiting for the umbrella. Or waiting with the umbrella. She's like, I'm waiting for Umbrella Company.
I'm addicted to reality and waiting for an umbrella.
She's like, Resident Evil. I already knew. So this part was probably one of the lines I've heard in a film that I didn't really understand. Maybe you can make more sense of this. It says, I already knew you're an amazing actress, but a terrible liar. That makes zero fucking sense. Actors and actresses are fucking professional liars. Like, I was kind of like, wait. I think that was like something that somebody wrote down and was like, dude, kind of like, I like you, but I don't have to love you, kind of thing, or whatever it is. But it did, like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, what? A scene of undressing. I'll undress you. Draking isn't the only thing I came here for. When, like, the two dudes are, like, about to be assassinated. Some cool things in the fight, but once again, some of the camera work, not the camel work, ruins a little... Well, not a little bit of it. There's, like, another scene that was actually pretty cool. Or not cool, but it was, like, actually enjoyable. The little girl comes out and says, I'm full and sleepy now. And I was like, oh, that's cute. But then it's like, like. So, let's see here. So I don't know if this was intentional. But, like, you remember the scene where, like, the original guy shows up and has a gun to her. And under the table. And he's like, do you recognize me? And they're talking or whatever. Did you see the two people, like the couple in the background, like laughing and hamming it up and looking at her while she's delivering these lines? I think this was like a fuck up. Like they were doing this and
Really?
they were supposed to be extras. Because they're doing that and they're like... and like, I was like, what? But it's only during like the very end of that scene. So I think like it was like they didn't catch it or something.
Could be.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, could be. Yeah, I just have a lot of notes about like being like, I'm kind of confused on what the fuck is going on here.
Yep.
Also, this was kind of a weird thing where like the guy on the bike crashes into the front of the car. And I thought that was kind of a weird way to fake people out to maybe get yourself killed just so you can assassinate someone. Because he like goes full head on into the front of a car just to stop the car so he can kill the people inside the car. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Scene with... This is the scene you were talking about. The scene with the husband fighting for his life is unwatchable with the cuts. This is also I didn't fucking understand at all. I loved you, but for the crime of killing your father, I couldn't love you anymore. What the fuck is that? What is he talking about?
I didn't have to. I was like...
Because I thought that she was trying to find out who killed her father, and that guy killed... the guy that like was like reaming her, and like he also killed like the person they thought was actually the murderer, but he wasn't. But like, why would he not love her anymore? He's like a professional fucking hitman, right? I just wrote this down because like a lot of times things when we talk on this podcast, I kind of don't understand it, and you're like, oh, this is actually what it meant. I'm not like, I'm smart, but I don't get things sometimes. Like, I'll be like, oh, that's pretentious or that's bullshit. And you're like, no, it was great. Like, so am I fucking...
No, and by that point in the movie, I was so not caring.
But did you, like were you kind of like, you were like, what the fuck is he
I didn't
about?
Understand what he meant by that line at all. Like, it made no sense to me.
Did you watch the dubbed or the subbed? I watched the subbed,
Subtitles.
Yeah. I didn't even know there was a dub one until after the fact. The amount of cuts in this last scene of fighting is ridiculous, which ended up not being the last scene. the scene with her riding on top of the car was actually pretty. I thought that was actually kind of cool.
It was cool.
But there were parts. It was like the camera work was bullshit after that. But like she gets in this car and goes after him, and she gets on the hood and is like driving it and has this like axe. And I was like, dude, this is pretty sweet. But as soon as they like get to the bus and she jumps on it and then gets in, it's like they couldn't help themselves, and it was just like, god damn it. Dude.
Yeah, and
gosh dang it.
It's
sorry.
I'm like, darn it. That scene is cool in theory, but like it looks horrible. The way the camera like moves around and like
I think
it almost reminded me of like Decker. Like it was so bad, it was like it was embarrassing, and it reminded me of like that scene in Police Story where Jackie Chan actually does that for real,
right?
And you can actually see what the fuck is happening.
Guy's body flew off a cop car, and he literally goes like 50 feet in the air. I was like, what? Because there's a lot of scenes in this where people are like crouching tiger, hidden dragoning.
Yeah.
And it's like, these people are on wires, and it's not like for their safety. It's like, well, I'm sure it's for safety if they actually did that stunt, but it's like, why the hell? Like, when they jump out the window, like, the husband and the daughter, and they're like, like, how are they getting more air? You know what I mean?
Turn into, like, jet-propelled, like, an actual, like, flying machine.
Yeah, they're just like, it's like, okay. Yeah, talked about the guy getting his hand cut off, the bus driver.
That was funny.
Yeah, I thought that was actually pretty legit, because I was like, because it was like she was losing this fight against her, like, you know, ex-husband guy, and she just said fuck this and cut off his hand, and like the driver's hand, and like yeah. And then she like kills him. He's like, when you kill me, that's when the real pain begins. And then she like becomes like the female Joker.
Yeah.
I put like overall I like some of the stuff in this movie. It was just way too many cuts in the action scene, and the way the camera moved in certain scenes seemed to not want to film the action. I guess go ahead. You've been looking at a thing over here.
Well, I just wanted to mention Roger Ebert's review.
Oh. Mr. Ebert.
It's not actually him, because he was not alive when this movie came out. But
who writes for him? He
has a staff of writers who I like a lot of them. This was by Simon Abrams, but it's a really good review.
It's a Simon Abrams review.
He gave it 2 stars
out of
4.
So you liked it 50%.
I mean, it's a really good review, I think. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically he said throughout the film there's essentially soggy dialogue-intensive sequences which are broken up by disorienting flashbacks, but the biggest failing is the inability to make Soo-ki a heroine worth caring about, which I totally agree. My last note is I would be so stoked if I saw people sword fighting on motorcycles in real life. Like, it would be so cool to see that. Just like, ting, ting.
I think I'd be fucking horrified. Because I'd be like, cool, people have weapons in my vicinity. This is not good. If I was like on the expressway and like shit like that was happening around me, I'd be like, fuck. But I guess if we were like sitting here and we like look out your window and
they just
people
go driving by,
I'd be like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad.
Like, hell yeah, dude.
So I guess we've come to the part of the review where we have to assign a score to this moving picture. And what do you give this film?
I'll go 2.95.
Jesus.
Just because it has stuff I like in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the best thing I can say.
Yeah. I'd probably give it like 6 or a 5.
0.95.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's definitely got like a lot of stuff, a lot of potential.
That's what made me angry.
That's
like,
why
normally I just wouldn't care and I'd be like next. But
that's why I gave it like a higher score, because they have something here. But I deducted a fuck ton of points because of just the camera work. That was really my biggest complaint, because I can see why certain characters act the way they do. Nobody was like out of character or anything. It was just hard to follow because of the way that it was presented. But even that could be excused if the action was filmed. Like, because there's a lot of films out there that are lauded as like the greatest films of all time, and they're just like this, where they're fucking all over the place. But the difference is they don't film their fucking, movies Cloverfield style. One of the biggest flash in the pan fucking movies of all time. That's another movie that had like potential.
It's a Cloverfield.
Cool.
It's a freak.
Fucking film it, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is. Yeah. Which is so weird because like half the film isn't like that, but then as soon as like the action, like the blow off happens, the action, it's like, welcome to what the fuck is going on, Street. So, I don't know. I guess that's, you just fast forward to this part and, on the thing and listen to this where we sum it up. But if you're listening to this now, you've probably listened to the whole thing. So,
yeah. Sorry, Kevin. Your average is still high, but
yeah,
it took a hit.
I think that's like the lowest film or the lowest score you've given a film.
Yeah, this is probably the one I've liked the least of any of that we've done so far.
Damn. James Rolfe moving up. AVGN and Kong have gone up. I'll have to look back. I don't even think we were doing 0.95 at that point, so. Yeah. So, I guess, do you have anything else to say about this before I reveal next week's entrance?
Mike Week.
Yeah.
No. What do you got?
I'm pretty excited for this, honestly. I'm not going to lie. The check's in the mail. So next week, for Weird Watches, we're going to watch a show that I've wanted to watch for a long time because I'm a huge fan of sci-fi. I'm a huge fan of space. I'm a huge fan of Jim Henson. And we're going to be watching a show called Farscape.
Dude!
I've never seen it before, but I'm pretty excited.
That's pretty cool because that was on my list as well.
There you go. Hell yeah. I've heard nothing but good stuff about this show, and any time that Jim Henson, like the Henson Corporation, is involved, I'm always on board.
Yeah, I have it saved in my list.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. And then, for the feature presentation, we're going to go with the classic Prince of Darkness.
Dude!
So, I'm pretty excited because it's been a while since I've seen Prince of Darkness, and I've never seen Farscape, but I've always wanted to.
I was just listening to the soundtrack of Prince of Darkness recently, and I think it might be my favorite Carpenter movie. But we'll see next week.
You're like, this is bullshit. This fucking film sucks. 0.95. I'm like, damn.
I'm pumped.
Carpenter, you better watch your ass. So, yeah.
Mike Week. It's going to be a hell of a week.
I'm like, you're enjoying this film. Enjoy.
You're welcome.
It's like, wait, what? Enjoy. So, yeah, I guess that's it for this week. If you liked this or didn't like it, just comment. And definitely, until next week, just check out our social medias, Steak Belmont 64, and Buddy Shots on Facebook, and Instagram, Twitter, and this will be up on YouTube as every week.
All right, until then.
Yeah, until then.
Until next time. Bye.